Hello, welcome to this episode of the Legal Paige podcast. I am so overjoyed today to talk all about how to quickly set up shop on your website to start selling digital products with my dear friend and the guest expert of this episode, and someone who has actually helped me launch and revamp my TLP website just last year, Miss Megan Martin. Now, Megan is a mama of 4 kiddos and also a heck of an entrepreneur. To say you can't do it all, Megan shows all those people up. She's a conversion-focused website designer by trade who helps passionate creatives own what makes them unique and turn what they know, love, do, and already have within them into what they can sell through digital products like courses, memberships, templates, downloads, and more. In 2020, Megan opened the doors to the Digital Lab All Access, which is a membership community of over 1,000 business owners who are doing digital business together. She believes that one small idea can have an enormous impact and is personally on a mission to help you find your first or next profitable digital product idea. Without further ado, you guys, I am so excited to get into this episode. It may be one of my favorites I have ever recorded. Megan Martin and I talk all about selling digital products online. You're listening to the Legal Paige podcast, where we chat about life and business with a legal twist. I'm Paige, attorney and photographer helping online businesses and creatives tackle their business dreams without breaking out in hives. No more legal mumbo jumbo. This podcast features simple, bite-sized advice that'll have you legally legit in no time. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on the Legal Paige podcast. One of my dear friends and actually my website designer back in 2020, Megan is here to talk with you all about setting up shop on your website to start selling digital products. Megan, thanks for being here.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I'm so pumped to talk about this, setting up your website to actually sell a digital product. I know so many people who are like eager and excited to add digital products to the mix, and it's like one more step you got to do, like adding it to your website. How do we get it to where we can actually sell these things?
Yeah. And Megan, I obviously know you super well. We are intimately familiar with each other, and you are intimately familiar with my business.
Yes.
But I would like you to kind of introduce yourself to everyone listening in today. What do you do? Obviously, you do websites and back-end stuff, but I know you have lots of educational offerings as well. You are a wealth of information on this subject and someone I have gone to for a lot of things, Shopify, product related. So yeah, I can't wait for people to hear who you are and your background.
Yeah, so hey friends, I'm Megan, and I originally started in the wedding industry. I was a wedding planner for 5 years, and my story in a very short amount of time quickly goes that I wanted to create my own brand and website and didn't have the funds to do it at the time. So I taught myself brand design, graphic design, and website design. And really just, I loved doing that. And it turned into my big passion. And then I learned that I really loved connecting with entrepreneurs. And so I made a huge pivot back in 2016, stopped wedding planning and started creating digital products, and essentially started turning things that I did in my wedding planning business. And as I created that brand and that new website, I started creating resources that people were asking me for into digital products that other business owners could take and run with for themselves. And so now, fast forward to 2021, and I have lots of different experience creating digital products. I have a line of website templates, and I sell courses, and I now have a membership with over 1,000 members inside, and have just been like little by little over the past 4 years trying to figure out this whole digital business model, because it's so completely different than the service-based business model. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Awesome. And just briefly tell people what you did for me because it was a lot. And I feel like you were basically the whiz, and we were talking back and forth every single day when the pandemic was happening. It was an intense period of time that we apparently decided to launch, but you were a huge part in what the Legal Page website looks like today. So I would love for you to kind of tell everyone what you did for us as well, because you are really a close part of TOP.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed being a part of your website team. It was an honor. But yeah, so when you hired me, you were kind of struggling with what to do with your website because you are in a unique position than a lot of people who are in the digital business world, and that you have a ton of products, huge amount of products. I mean, do you even know what your product number is at this point?
We're probably at like 250 plus, I would say. So, I mean, that's a good place to start this episode too, because I'm in a very different place than lots of people listening, just starting out a couple, but it's a good transition piece for us because I was building and building and building a digital product shop on Shopify Lite, which is where lots of people start, or similar platforms to that. And then we were deciding like, I think we need to go full e-commerce here, and I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so you had like Shopify Lite, for anyone who doesn't know, it's essentially where you can put a product on Shopify to sell, but you don't actually have a website on Shopify. You use what's called a buy button to embed that product on a site somewhere else. And when we're talking, 200 products, that's a lot of maintenance and upkeep to try to host your products on one platform and sell it on a completely different platform that's not even meant to be an e-commerce site in the first place. And so we had to make a big decision in your business of, should you stay where you are because you love it and because you supported that company and you still support that company to this day? Or do you do what's best for your business and your team and the future of your company and move your business to a platform like Shopify, which was really built for you, which was built for someone like you who has tons of products. And even though you're a digital product business and you don't carry inventory, it's just a better platform for someone like you, as opposed to a lot of people who are probably tuning in today and are starting from ground zero. And we're going to have totally different advice for you. But you are in a unique situation that once you get to a point where if you're trying to grow an e-commerce shop with digital products, you're going to face different hurdles than someone who's maybe selling one or two products at the most.
Yeah. So you guys, Megan was super integral in having us switch. I'm totally fine disclosing it too. I was on Showit. You guys know I'm a huge proponent of Showit. We partner with them on lots of things. I ended up getting my law firm website on Showit though, because I was like, I have to help them and support them in some way. Good. I can't leave them forever. And so we moved, and I probably, at the time Megan came on, I mean, we probably had close to 100 products on there, and with the buy buttons. And so it's all back end manual. And we just decided, I just want to be able to put a product in Shopify and then have it just automate, and then like have everything alphabetized and categorized into collections really nicely. And so we knew we needed to move everything over, but that was complicated because oftentimes, and this will probably be the last thing we talk about, Megan, about my kind of situation that you helped with. Oftentimes these like e-commerce websites aren't super user friendly and are harder on the back end to like modify. And you did a lot of coding, and it was really hard for me because I wanted to have my hands in that. I wanted to be able to change things and modify things easily. And that just wasn't the case when I moved to this website. I mean, I do think it was the best decision we've ever made, and it has served me very, very, very well, and I will never leave it. But we're still experiencing like limitations that we find, or apps that sort of work the way we want them to, but they don't necessarily do what we want them to. And so I digress there, but Megan was a huge help in getting the website to where we needed it to be. Like the search bar was the biggest thing ever that we added on, where people could actually be like, oh, do you have this product? Let's search it, versus like having to click on a page and scroll through 10, 25, 50 products. So anyway, Megan, you were integral in that. And then of course you brought your design background in as well.
Yeah. And I think just to even wrap up this thought, but like no platform is perfect. I can't tell you that any platform is going to check all your boxes, and I think you and I had this discussion back when we were making this decision, which was a big decision. It's always a big decision to move your site from one platform to another. But at the end of the day, you have to think about what is going to be the best possible experience for your customer, not necessarily for you and like your team even, so what's going to be the best possible experience for your customer? And in your case, with so many products and people who needed to get to the point really quickly and know exactly what product that they need was going to solve their problem, Shopify was the better answer because it had the functionality you needed that Showit didn't. Where in me, like I'm here and I sell digital products and I use Showit. My whole entire shop, my whole entire website is a Showit website. So again, there's going to be different platforms and they're going to check different boxes. But I always like to say first, let's not focus on what like you or your team needs, but what is going to be the best possible experience for your customer in the end.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal transition to like the first question I had for you too, because I would tell people my biggest advice now that I've been doing this for a few years is I have learned more and more and more what is the customer experience? What is their journey landing on the website to getting to the product, to getting to the checkout process, to then answering questions on the post end of purchasing. That is something I think about every single day as a digital product owner. And it's become more and more ingrained in me that that is the number one thing I need in my business is as close to flawless customer experience as possible, which there's no perfect solution, like you said. But since you've been doing this quite a bit in terms of coaching people on getting digital products up in their site and people who are just starting out, right? They want to start an online shop. They want to figure out this passive income game. What would you suggest is like the number one thing people need to do or look into to kind of make their shop or make their products and get them online to people for purchase?
I would say the first thing that I would encourage you to do is to think small. I think when we start to look at diversifying our income with digital products, we sort of start to like vision cast into the future, and we can imagine a shop full of products and a signature course that costs $900 and a membership that's going to take us into the future. Like it's really easy. And especially as creatives, like our visionary brains just explode when we start thinking about digital products. And what I have seen is that people have great ideas, but they get so overwhelmed from the forefront of like, what should I focus on? What's the best thing to do? Like, how much should I price this stuff? They like overcomplicate all of this so much that they actually never do anything. I have friends that I know who have literally been sitting on course ideas for years because it just keeps blowing up in their mind of bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I would say the best thing that you can do first is to start small. Create something like a digital download, an ebook, a guide, something that's a resource, like it's a good and valuable resource, but it doesn't have to be this gigantic product, because that's going to help you actually test your market. You can create a lower ticket, easier to accomplish product quickly and put it out there and see what happens. If a ton of people are interested and people are starting to bite, that's going to give you the validation that you need to start moving forward on some of these other really cool ideas that you have. If you put it out there and you see that people aren't biting, people aren't excited about what you're putting out there, then you are saving yourself from a lot of heartache in doing all of this stuff, like creating a launch plan and, spending months and months and months on it, on trying to build a product that might not actually be what somebody needs or wants. I always would encourage you, like, start small. Maybe it's a recorded workshop. Maybe it's a download product. Maybe it's a quick template, but not something that's going to have to take you months to create. So that way you can just get it up quickly on your site, and we can talk about like the logistics of how do we do that and almost like get scrappy at first with getting it on your website. But that would be like my absolute biggest point I can think of sharing is start small.
Yeah, low ticket offers. I mean, the foot in the door, that's kind of the goal for any digital product shop is how do you get people to just purchase one product that's small, that they don't really know, they've never purchased anything from you before, and their foot's in the door, and then they love what you offered and you probably over delivered on it, which is usually the goal. And then they want more and more and more from you. It's way harder. I mean, I could go back in the vault of all things I did wrong, failure-wise, with like course launches. But yeah, I mean, I think we all dream big and we're like, I'm going to have this huge course. And this other person had, a multiple, 5-figure launch and I want that. And that's just like not, I just don't think that should be the mindset with digital product shops. It's like start small and then grow over time because you're going to learn things along the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So if people are like, I have this idea, I have this guide I want to put out there into the world. Can you just like quickly walk me through like a 5-step process on simplifying a way to get that offer out into the world and on your site in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah. So I would say first thing is determine what platform, gateway, cart, however you want to call it, is going to host the sale, right? Or like it's essentially what's going to allow you to get people's money. For me, I love Shopify Lite as an option. It's something that you can create a product quickly. They have an app. I think it's called Digital Downloads. Pretty cut and dry.
But they have an app.
Yeah, they have an app called Digital Downloads that you can essentially go ahead and attach your product to. And then if you want to use Shopify, if you don't have a website, go ahead and put it on Shopify because you're already paying for it. But if you have a website somewhere else, then you can just embed that right there. That's what I use for all of my products. They work with Shopify Lite. I know there's other options. There's options. So if you're running a WordPress, you could add WooCommerce as a plugin. Similar thing. So there's different options. I can't share them all, but I would say the first thing is just determine where you're going to host your product. I feel like knowing how you're going to deliver your product is going to help you in order to write a sales page, which I think is the next step, right? You need to create a product page. So whether that's something like a traditional product page, you and I both have more traditional e-commerce type product pages with our digital downloads. But there's also, depending on what you're selling, you could also just create a sales page. And it doesn't have to be a crazy sales page. It could be a simple and quick sales page. But again, the goal is how can we get set up quickly? You will have so much time later. Once you get your product set up and running, you have as much time in the world to optimize this thing. So I would say get your platform you're going to sell, set up a sales page. And that's going to be really that's probably going to be the hardest part, honestly, is the sales page, because that's what's going to convince somebody to buy, right? If you don't, Paige, you have a product that's like absolutely necessary. People know I'm setting up a business. I need a contract. So in your case, your e-commerce style product page is, you kind of have it easier than a lot of other people. A lot of people who are selling products that aren't as cut and dry, like this is an absolute must for you if you're going to do this. We have more work to do in terms of telling people, resonating with people about the struggles that they're having or the desires that they want. And then we have to, help convince them that our products are what they need, right? To solve that problem or to meet that desire. So really the sales page is going to be your hardest step in the process, and where I would say, make a really valuable product and focus on a really good sales page. And then from there, it's just about delivering the product, right? So you have to make a decision. How do you want to deliver that product? If you use something like Shopify Lite, it's going to automatically send an email to somebody when they purchase. But I would encourage you to go a little bit above and beyond and show up in your customer's inbox, even with an additional email, to surprise and delight them and say, hey, you got your product in your email. Here's what's really important for you to know about this product. Here's how to access it. Here's how to contact me or my team if you have any questions or need help. And then also you can choose to continue emailing them, maybe like 1 or 2 more emails you can write that helps them take the next step. show them a customer who has successfully used that product, or give them a next valuable resource that's going to help complement or take that product to the next level for them. And I think that's how you start small and create like really raving fans, because people are like, hey, this person didn't just send me a product. They actually walked me through using the product and are here to help me and make sure that I'm successful with this digital product. And I think that's really like 3 main steps that you can take, like setting up shop with a processor, creating a sales page, and then creating some sort of, it's called a consumption sequence, essentially. Create a consumption sequence and help that person by over delivering. And I think you're going to immediately knock it out of the park with your digital products.
Yeah, I love that you said, do the consumption sequence, but make it like simplify it to begin with. Because if you're just setting up shop, like this is going to be the first like consumption sequence you've ever written, or your copywriter has ever written, or you have no idea really how to best have your purchasers consume those products. Like you think you know what they are doing when they're downloading and consuming it. But you will learn so much over time of what they need and what questions they have regarding that product. And all of that can be expanded. And like Megan said, you could have the one email to start with that's kind of like your thanks for purchasing email. Here's all of these other things that I can help you with related to this product, and just giving them a little bit more, over delivering there. We did that with the legal page. So just a little background, because I think it'd be interesting for you all. Like back in I guess it was like 2019, actually. Not that far ago. But we just had like I would say bulk consumption sequence that went for all of our products. So we just had like a 3 or 4 email sequence that went out for any product that people purchased. And over time, you guys, we have multiplied that consumption sequence per product primarily. And it's nice because we still have that base consumption sequence. That's like, we call it post-purchase sequences in TLP, but it's like we have the main post-purchase sequence, and then we have very categorized post-purchase sequences for our bigger products that like thousands of people have purchased. And the reason that we have those more particularized to that specific product is because we've gotten so many questions, and we want to answer those questions before people have to ask us. And so we've been able to expand those. And so I would say now we've got, the main one that we funnel new products into that we haven't created any type of post-purchase sequence for, and just ones that we don't really need a very custom sequence for. And then all the, the most purchased products, we probably have 20 to 30 really customized sequences that go out. And so it's like they get their download from Shopify. And I still use the same process that Megan's talking about. I didn't want to change any of that on my end, because I would have to change it for like hundreds of products, and that would take a lot of time and energy. And so we still have the digital downloads where it automates with Shopify, because I want that's what they care about. They want what they purchased immediately.
Right.
And so give that to them. And then we give them all this additional resources too on how to use that contract. So I just wanted to add that in, Megan. I really liked how you said, that's the 1, 2, 3 process. And then you can always optimize and you can always refine it later on. You're going to have years to do that.
Yeah, I always say that optimizing is a marathon and not a sprint. I mean, I'm 10 years in business, almost 5 years into the digital business world, and I'm still optimizing. Like, it just happens. And just to the point of what you said, like, your customers are going to tell you exactly what they need. And you're going to, at first, you're going to do some guessing. At first, you're going to kind of be like hodgepodging and piecemealing as much as you can to get this thing done. But then quickly, your customers are going to tell you exactly what they need. And that's the feedback that you need in order to optimize your situation, which is like, unfortunately, like I said, so many people just sit on these ideas forever because either they feel overwhelmed or they don't understand the tech, or it just feels like too big of a project to them, when if they just put anything out there, your customers are going to tell you exactly what to do next, or what to fix, or what product to create next. You will stop guessing so much if you actually just put something out there.
Yeah. And also to that end, like we now don't just create products to create products. We wait to see what people want in our customer inbox. And then once we kind of have like, I would say like a protocol on the back end for once we get 2 to 3 inquiries for kind of the same contract template that people are looking for. Cause now we have hundreds of them. So I'm like, gosh, this has to be like super specific to a person if we don't have it on the shop already. If we do have those inquiries, they told me what to create instead of me just like picking out of thin air, like, oh, I think people need this and I think people need this. So yeah, good point there. Megan, I'm sure people are wondering though, okay, if I use like Shopify Lite, I'm already paying for my website. I just need to like have a platform that puts on a buy button. What am I looking at budget wise, especially if I have a low ticket offer? What do I need to be aware of so that, because you know me, I'm all about numbers. You learn that working for me. I'm like, does this make sense? Yeah. Are we going to have good ROI on it? What can you expect to pay for those like platforms that would give you buy buttons and deliver those products to your customers and to be able to kind of streamline that so you don't have to manually do it?
Yeah. So my situation and your previous situation was like, I had a show website. I'm not switching my show website to some other platform at this point. So that's why I would encourage you to have something like Shopify Lite or something where you can embed. In that case, you're looking at whatever your original platform is. If it's WordPress or, you're looking at your hosting fees, which are probably somewhere to around $30 a month anyways. Same thing with Showit. They're a host, but they're also a website builder. You're around $30 a month. And then you're looking at something like Shopify Lite, which is like $9 a month, I think. You could also use something like a PayPal button, which I don't even know if they charge to have a PayPal button at all. So you could start with something like that. I mean, you might have to figure out, again, logistics of how am I going to deliver the product? I know ConvertKit, I'm a user of ConvertKit, and they just launched where you could use ConvertKit to sell your digital products. So if you used ConvertKit, which you can get an account for your first 1,000 subscribers for free, then you could use their buy button, So I'm talking about getting really scrappy here, but there's also other platform options. So if you know that you're coming into this model and you want to create digital products and you don't necessarily need a website that has all the bells and whistles where you can do services and whatever else and blogging and all the things that you dream of, and you just want to set up a digital product business, you could also just go with a platform like Podia. I think they're something like $30 a month. And they're literally set up for digital product business owners. And they have email marketing built in. They have where you could create a sales page right then and there. You can deliver your digital products. So that is a really great option if you're newer in business, or say you want to create, like you have your law firm page. That's a completely different website and entity at this point than the legal page template shop. So in your case, if you were similar to Paige and you wanted to create something where it's really separate from your business, even if you're not brand new in business, you could opt for something like a Podia, or in my case, I use Kajabi, which is a lot more expensive than Podia. I think it's like, starts at $119 a month, but they've been in business for a really long time. They've been in business for 10 years at this point, and I really love the company that Kajabi is. I love their values, what they stand for, and how they show up for their customers. And so while it is much more expensive than something like Podia or, Teachable or whatever you could get on, I can't recommend Kajabi enough, even though it is the more expensive platform.
Yeah, I second that, especially for course creators. Like if you're not doing any type of like small digital downloads, or maybe you've done those like Megan has talked about, and now you're ready to like go to the medium or larger size products, which is probably some type of like larger coaching or educational resource. That's probably a course. Kajabi is hands down my favorite as well. I've actually done Teachable, and it just didn't serve me the way I wanted it to serve me and my clients. Or customers, I guess. And yeah, Teachable is really, really awesome. The other thing about Teachable that I found too is it's really easy to like host webinars on there, to host post-purchase sequences on there. And so there's just a lot of like bells and whistles on Kajabi. Like you said, they've been in business a long time. So, I mean, we're both plugging them. So you should look into it if you're thinking about it. And sometimes, even though they're more expensive, it's worth it in the long run. And that's how I feel. Okay, question about like websites. So from like a website, clickable, back end, what you would suggest as a website designer, where should people put these products and how do you suggest people best navigate through websites to find products? Especially if you're starting a digital product shop, in my opinion, you want that to be somewhere prominent on your website. And I'm sure you get this question a lot, like for people that you coach. I do, say you're a photographer, and I have a photography website for clients, but my shop is obviously not geared towards my clients. It's geared towards other photographers that now I'm trying to dip into the educational space. So how do you suggest people go about that when they're first starting out? And I know you can change it, right? You can optimize it later, but I guess what have you seen over the course of the past few years work the best for people?
Yeah, I mean, there's different schools of thought here. So some people are like, absolutely not. Your website should only be for one ideal buyer, nobody else. You don't want to cause customer confusion. And there is merit to that. If you're talking about something that is like light years different in terms of what you're offering and who you're offering it to, then we might want to talk about creating two different websites. But in my own personal experience and what I see, especially in the creative entrepreneur bubble, is that you can find a way to marry your offerings and the branches of your business together. So for example, in my case, like I said, I was a wedding planner when I started. It has nothing to do with what I do now, right? But on the back end of my wedding planning business, I was actually blogging not so much about weddings, but about what I was doing in my wedding planning business. And so it naturally lended itself to other wedding planners asking for my resources, right? And that was the original line of digital products I created. I turned my welcome packet. This is pre-Canva, before anybody was doing this kind of stuff. I turned my welcome packet and my mission and pricing guide and some other types of PDF templates into resources that other planners and business owners could purchase. And so I added those right to my website. It's here you go, and honestly, I found in my own experience that it almost helped boost my client side of my business, because if brides were seeing, hey, this girl's actually helping other people who I'm trying to hire, right? So it almost set me up as more of an expert in my field to be able to show that not only can I help you, create the wedding of your dreams, but I'm actually teaching other wedding planners how to do or how to run their business. And so that's clearly a B2B example. But those two things married together, and wedding planners could also see, I'm not just making this stuff up. I actually have a wedding planning business. So I think the two parts of those businesses, if you have a digital product that in that way, it serves different people, but makes sense somehow together, then I think you could absolutely just put it on your website and just make it clear. You could have a link. One of the things that we talk about in conversion copywriting is that clear always wins over clever. So especially when we're talking about something like navigation, telling people where to go and what to click, if you can make sure that your link names are super clear, in the example that you gave, Paige, if I'm a photographer and I'm booking clients and I'm also giving digital products or selling digital products to other photographers, you would want to make sure your links are weddings or for brides, or maybe it's, photography resources or for photographers. That's so super clear that if I click on one, I'm going to land somewhere similar to what I'm looking for. If I click on the other, I don't need that, So I would highly encourage you just to put it on your website. Don't feel like you have to create an entirely new website if you think it does fit together in some capacity.
Yeah. And I think an addition I would say to that, Megan, is for people who are just I don't know what the right option is for me. I'm having a lot of heartache trying to justify marrying the two, like you said. I mean, there's so many theories out there. And if you go ask 5 of your friends, you're probably going to get half answers from each of them on, then you're going to be more confused. I would suggest just use the website you have now. Don't overcomplicate things. And you could just make a hidden page on your website, and that's where you can host the product. And then whenever you're selling this product, you just link that page. Like there's nowhere they need to navigate to.
Mhm.
They don't need to like go through all these clickable things on your website. And then, like Megan said, we're kind of going back. We're tying this up with a bow every single time we talk about something. It's like that is something you can work on in the future. You can optimize your heading navigation later in the future. We just did it again. Like we are consistently optimizing where people are clicking, what they are clicking on. We just made like a huge mega menu for people because I was like, I don't know if people are finding the search tab. And so now I want them to have an easier journey through finding what they need. And that took us a while to create and plop into different collections and stuff. But that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Like, don't overcomplicate it. You can make a hidden page if that's the product you're trying to sell and you have an audience to sell it to, whether that's on your email list or social media or just a small group of people you want to like pitch this product to. Why would you want to just send them to your homepage of your website where they're probably going to be confused anyway if you're confused on where to put it? And so just have a page for them. That would be the actual sales page that they land on. I don't know if you have anything in addition to that, Megan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why I love Showit so much. And I know, Paige, you probably are dealing with the headache of this, but with Showit, you can create a page on your website that looks literally nothing like your whole website. You have complete autonomy on the page level, which sometimes is annoying, but most of the time it just opens up the door for freedom. So in this case, if you're trying to create a product that really doesn't necessarily fit perfectly into what you are currently doing in your business, if you use something like Showit, you could create a page on your website without having to buy a new domain, without having to get a new website template or whatever. It could look similar to your business, but it could be completely focused on whatever that new digital product is and kind of remove, like what you're saying, some of that confusion. And I think whether or not you choose to marry a website with, two different types of offerings, no matter what, one of the biggest mistakes I see when people enter the digital product world is they think, okay, I'm going to create a page for my digital product, but at the end of the page, I need to make sure I also plug in the other person that might be my ideal customer and say, hey, are you a bride? Instead, go over here, right? And so then we start creating confusion, which is unnecessary. If somebody is on a page, think about how you use the internet. Like, you're smart enough. If you're reading something and you're like, I'm not interested in this, you don't need to get down to the end of the page and learn about some other offer, right? Like, you're just going to click away. So I would highly encourage you that on each and every page of your website, you focus on one person and what they need and how you can serve them. And so it really doesn't matter in the end if you have two different websites or not. As long as you can focus on one person, it's called the rule of one in copywriting. If you can stick to the rule of one, only talk to one person, share about one problem that they need, and give one solution that you have to that problem, then you're going to see much higher conversions all day long.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand pretty high here because I definitely made that mistake when I first started out because I was like, I'm a photographer, but I'm also an attorney, but I'm also selling these contract templates and like, this is all confusing. And I was talking to like 5 people on a sales page and it wasn't worth it. So yeah, don't do that. Don't worry if they're not going to scroll to the bottom of the page either, honestly. I'm not a website designer, but I am all about conversions and analytics. And you guys know I care a lot about being a very savvy and smart business owner. And one of the things I've learned is just simplify. So we've like cut out canvases in, on home pages and other pages we've hidden that were at the top nav bar. It's just like once you see what people are actually clicking on and what they're not, is it even worth it to have it there? And then if not, just cut it. Like, whatever, it's fine. Like, you tried it, move on, optimize this other page more. Okay, let's kind of turn now into the legal page side of things, because I think it's important for people to know you're selling now a product. So even though it's not a tangible product, it's an intangible digital product is mainly what we're talking about. And this goes for tangible products as well for people. But Megan, what I've seen is people who are like on Etsy or like actually selling products, they think about this more. They're like, oh, there's probably like some weird liability and risk that I need to be aware of with like shipping and goods getting damaged. And like they think about those things. But with digital products, you're just like, oh, if there's like an error in downloading, like I can fix that. I want people to be aware that you have to have your legal ducks in a row when you get a digital product shop up, because you are now taking people's personal payment information. You're gathering a lot more about them with analytics as well. And you're probably converting those or integrating them into your email marketing platforms. And that all deals with privacy policies. And then as well, the terms and conditions of like refunds, especially with digital products, it's like instantaneous. You can't control like a good gets delivered. And if it's damaged, you could get a photo of the damaged delivery and then you have proof and then they send it back and return it. But, you know, consumer wise, when someone is just getting a digital download, that's it for you. Like you don't really have any control over what they do with that product, if they've actually consumed it, if they've actually implemented it. And so having those refund policies are really important to have very, very conspicuously on your website. So what do you suggest people do? Of course, I'm just going to come out and say it, like you need a terms and conditions and, you know, some type of product purchase usage agreement on your website. And then you need a privacy policy. But where do like people put those? Where have you seen people like best be able to integrate that into their digital product shop?
Yeah, I think on the sales page level, it should absolutely be there, especially the refund policy. Don't make people jump through hoops. Again, digital product businesses are different than physical product businesses. And I feel like physical product businesses, the trend is just to like put the refund policy on one page and that's fine, you know? And you can do that. But I think even having a simple sentence or two somewhere on the sales page, it's going to be really clear, like, hey, just letting you know, like there's no refund for this if that's your policy. Or if there is some sort of guarantee, that's not only going to be good information to give them, that's going to help you convert higher. So if you are going to have some sort of 7-day, 14-day, whatever it is, money back guarantee, you want to use that language because it's just going to help you sell. But I think obviously, Paige, you preach this. We all know this. You need to have a terms and conditions page linked on your footer. You need to have a privacy policy page linked on your footer. If you're selling products, you might want to go to the length of having an earnings disclaimer page on your linked on your footer, or especially on the sales page. If you're talking B2B and you're selling to other business owners and you're promising results in terms of how much money they're going to get, you want a disclaimer at the end of your sales page that's just clearly stating, hey, I'm going to teach you everything I know, but I am not responsible for your results. And all these results aren't necessarily typical because XYZ Paige, you can go get the disclaimer that Paige sells. I'm pretty sure I used yours. But, you know, these things not only save you and protect your butt, but they actually are, again, we're coming back to the customer experience here. Like, a customer is buying something, they probably never met you. They've never seen you face to face. They don't actually know who you are. You can make lots of claims about your background and your talents and your expertise, but they don't really know that, right? And so having these types of statements, even though they're not like cool copy, they're pretty cut and dry legal statements, it's only helping the customer feel more safe and more secure that you are a legitimate business owner. And so I absolutely put them on my sales page in different points. And I even reiterate them sometimes multiple times in a sales page just to be super clear so my customer never has doubt, because I always say doubt kills conversion. So the second that somebody is on a product page or a sales page and they start to have some sort of feeling of doubt, whether that's, can this person really do what they're saying? Or am I going to be able to get my money back? Or, you know, well, what if I don't get the result that you're promising? These are tiny little seeds of doubt. And as they scroll down a product or sales page, that little seed is just going to continue to grow. And so that's why on sales pages, your goal is not only to sell, but also to answer your customers' questions so clearly before they even have them, so they don't get these seeds of doubt in their mind. And so I would absolutely pepper these statements through your website and your sales pages.
Seriously, so helpful, because I always tell people, like, step one, get it in your footer. Like, all of this needs to be in your footer so that people understand the terms of purchasing a product with you. Make that super clear and conspicuous that they can find as well. Don't make them dig through things to try to figure out where it's at. Make sure that footer is on the bottom of every page of your website as well. But then I love what Megan said is, like, pepper that throughout, because that's something we've even found, you guys. And again, it's like, I'm telling you, and I have so much experience in the digital product world. So make sure that, of course, you have a checkbox, but that it's not automatically checked, that they're actually taking the initiative and they are volitionally checking the box on their own. So we have that in our checkout process now, where the terms and conditions of the product purchase like pop up for you. And then we also have it on every single product page. We have disclaimers. We have links directly to shop FAQs. And as Megan said, in the bottom footer, like, we also have options for them clicking on the privacy policy, clicking on the actual product purchase agreement, and then also just terms and conditions of the website. So it's really hard to, like, not understand what would happen if you purchase the product and you want a refund or you're not happy with the product. One other thing I wanted to chime in here, and of course we don't need to talk about this anymore because we don't want to take up all of your guys' time, but if you are moving towards digital products that are more like online courses or heavy mentoring products where there is some type of guarantee, and you're making that claim on your sales page, I want you to make sure that you're being very conspicuous on there legal wise for consumer protection laws in your state. And you're having asterisks where they know that there's probably more to the story there. And then Megan said, like, make it super clear at the bottom of your sales page what that guarantee means. So is it for a certain period of time? Most online courses, I would say, are like, you have 30-day money back guarantee, 14-day money back guarantee, but usually you have to provide actual documentation that you went through the course. We can see on the back end as the host of the course if you've actually gone through it with your computer's IP address. We you actually have to prove that you did it and it didn't work for you. But you have to disclaim that somewhere on your sales page if you're making a very bold claim, like, for any reason. You don't want consumers to think for any reason they could just ask for a refund within 30 days. So just those little things, think about copy-wise on your sales page and on your websites for legal protection reasons. And there's just a lot of other things we could talk about. I don't think we need to get into it, but just like payment gateways, Megan, I think it would be important for people to realize. Make sure you're using a verified payment processor that has their own liability protections in place and security measures in place. Make sure you're not keeping credit card information from people and that you're putting that onus and risk in the hands of the third-party payment processor. I know, like, Square, Stripe, PayPal, all very, very good payment processors. Can you think of any others that people use a lot?
Those are the main ones that I use.
Yeah.
So
same.
I would totally just say go with those.
Yeah. And you guys, you'll know they disclaim all of that when you sign up for the payment processors. And we're saying here, like, you would sign up for Shopify Lite, you put the product on there, but Shopify then gives you the payment in your bank account through a third-party payment processor. And so, like, Shopify will take, oftentimes, when you add on more digital products, they'll take a percentage of just the product that you purchase, like 3% or 30 cents, something really small. But then remember, you also have the cost of the payment processor taking a portion, a very, very small portion of your sale as well. So anti-fraud features, just make sure that you check that. And then transaction fees, make sure that you, honestly, I think that's just a business tip, not necessarily a legal tip for you transaction fee wise. But I think people forget about that. Like, they want a product to be I don't know, $12. And then they realize the cost of doing business ends up, they only get $7, $8 in their bank account from that product. And so just pricing products appropriately as well, thinking about those things, because legally speaking, you absolutely need to have a secure third-party payment processor. Like, please don't be selling things via Venmo and trying to avoid that situation. We pay those payment processors to have the liability on them versus us for taking credit cards and PayPal accounts over the internet. And so that is absolutely a necessary cost of doing business with digital products. And just make sure you put that into your obvious product purchase price. Don't charge them extra for those kind of things. It's actually sometimes illegal in some states to charge credit card fees. It needs to be built into the actual total product. And so I always just say, for simplicity purposes, like Megan has said throughout this episode, don't overcomplicate things. Don't charge credit card fees in addition to what you're asking the customer to pay online. Just have it all encompassing, and then you do the back end work with finances. Anything else, Megan, on that end that you've seen people get in hiccups when they're starting their digital sites?
No, I would say, again, like, continuing to wrap these points with a bow, like, pricing can also change. Like, you can put a price up and decide later, if it's not moving, maybe you can lower the price, or maybe you need to actually raise the price. So again, it's all about, you don't need to show up to selling digital products with all the pieces of this puzzle figured out. You're going to have plenty of time to figure this out, but just put it out there and make decisions later.
Love that. My last tip, since you just said that, I can't leave without adding a legal tip to price changes. A promotions clause in your product purchase agreement is absolutely necessary. And this means that you run promotions at certain periods of times, but they aren't retroactive and they aren't proactive as well. So if people know a sale's coming and they purchase, and then the sale comes and they want like refunds for the difference, or vice versa, like Megan said, you have the power to be able to change product pricing, but you don't want customers to be upset about that. So make sure that you have those clauses and disclaimers in your product purchase agreement in terms of use on your website as well. So that is what we went over so much. I'm like, that is so much for people to process. I think we should probably end it so that people don't continue to get overwhelmed. We're like, here are all the things you need to do. What is like one quick tip as we leave people here today? What's like one quick tip you would give them as they get started? I know you said something at the beginning along the lines of like, just get one product out there. And then, you know, what is the next tip you would give people after that?
I would say that just start showing up, start talking about it. I think we're so afraid of being salesy in our bubble of creative entrepreneurship. Like, heaven forbid we talk about our products or what we offer. And I think it gets worse in the digital product world. Like, it's easy to take a picture, say if you're a photographer, it's easy to take a picture of your wedding, your clients on their wedding day, and then post it to Instagram. And that's like, if so facto, I'm sharing that I'm a wedding photographer, right? But in the digital product world, like, literally just show up and talk about your products. You're talking about products, right? Which is selling at the end of the day. And so I would just say, like, you have to do that. You have to talk about your products. And is it salesy? Maybe, but the person on the other side of the screen actually needs what you have to offer. And we're talking a lot about, you know, setting up shop, which is making money, which is important as a business owner. But at the end of the day, our digital products have the ability to create a massive impact. Your small digital product idea could impact so many people, more people than you can imagine. So I would say just kind of, even if it's going to be hard at first, just start showing up, start talking about it, and don't be afraid that you're going to be salesy when you're doing so.
I love it. And speaking of salesy, I'm going to be salesy right now because I have no qualm about doing so. Megan is very, very smart, as you can tell, you guys. And if you're taking advice from anyone, I would take it from someone who helped me with my digital shop that is now a 7-figure business. So I would love, Megan, for you to tell people, like, I'm sure they're obviously They're not to the scale I am at, but if they are just starting out and they want more one-on-one help from you, how can they get that? Because I know you have that for them.
Yeah, the best place is to join my community, my membership for digital product creators. It's called the Digital Lab, and you can get there by going to meganmartin.net/digital-lab. And there is over 1,000 entrepreneurs who get it, who get you, who get the struggle of trying to build, create, sell, and scale digital products, and we do it together. So there's tons of education in there, but really the magic of the Digital Lab is our community and the fact that we can turn to each other and get help from each other and the support and feedback that you need. So I would love to invite you there if you are interested in creating digital products.
Yeah, and I second all of that. I think it's a beautiful thing to get in on because I worked with Megan one-on-one, but just having a little bit of Megan and having a community of people who are doing very similar things to you is something that it's really priceless. Like if you just have a question, why would you want to reach out to like 5 different Shopify Lite experts that you find online that aren't even going to email you back when you could just go into Megan's community and ask the question, and there's 5 people who just had that same issue and they resolved it, and now they can help you resolve it quickly. So like I said, I'm obviously speechless because I love Megan so much, and I want you all to just at least check it out when you're in the digital product space and you're ready to make that leap. Go to Digital Lab. We will link all of that up for you. And Megan, where can they find you on social media too? Because I know you're pretty active on there.
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram, and you can find me at Megan Martin Creative.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, my dear. It was a joy talking to you. And thanks everyone for tuning in today.
Thank you so much. It was so fun.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Legal Paige podcast. See, I told you being legally legit isn't so scary. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for all show notes. And it would be super awesome if you could head over to iTunes and leave a review. Last but not least, don't forget to join my free Facebook group for unlimited legal and biz Q&A. Chat soon, Legal Pagers.